Today on the Topping Show, CNN threatens people who repost and even comment on the debate. Julian Assange is now free. The Supreme Court blocks Biden's student loan repayment program. Oakland Mayor blames right-wingers for the FBI raid after she committed crimes. CNN shuts down a Trump team member who points out that the debate moderator is very much anti-Trump. A car dealership had to use paper after thousands of dealerships were hit with cyber attacks. Hooters is closing more of their stores. And Snapchill has a coffee recall for potentially having, well, a little bit of food poisoning in there. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day, guys. He's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have a car dealerships. Well, thousands of them were hit with cyber attacks, so they started to use paper once again as the backup. Well, this is thanks to them mostly all using a very similar company, well, exactly the same software company out of Illinois, or as some people call it improperly, Illinois. But nevertheless, this was brought to us thanks to the Associated Press. They say, quote, car dealerships in North America revert to pens and paper after cyber attacks on software provider. Which, yep, not great. So this company is known by CDK Global, which I don't want to say it's uninspiring, but I'm sure it stands for something moderately interesting. So that's a software company based out of Illinois who provides software for thousands of dealerships. And even the largest dealership, which, yeah, let's just say you don't want to piss them off. Group 1 Automotive. And again, in the United States, you've had more and more dealership consolidation past couple of years. It's very similar to the funeral home industry, where you see many quote-unquote independent dealerships. Like around me, one is called Honda McDavid, which, again, David McDavid was one of the original founders of that dealership. But throughout the years, that family has nothing to do with that actual dealership. The parent company behind that one is actually headquartered out of Georgia, interestingly enough. And again, this dealership's operating in Illinois. So while they keep the nameplates very similar to the funeral home industry, they're actually owned by a larger parent company. I mean, the other largest ones are AutoNation, and you have Lithia Motors, where your average person has no idea who they are, but most likely they've actually gone to some of their dealerships. And Group 1 Automotive is one of the largest. They're $4 billion automotive dealerships, and they started to use quote-unquote alternative processes so they could sell cars to their customers. Which, yeah, interesting enough. So you got CDK Global, major player in the auto sales industry, company based just outside of Chicago in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. And yeah, it's not a lot of tech companies out of Illinois. Granted, Hoffman Estates is one of the fanciest, ritzy places in Illinois. Let's just say they probably don't have employees going to downtown Chicago anytime soon. Now, in terms of the intricacies and specifics of what happened in this instance, the CDK noted that, quote, last week we experienced back-to-back cyber attacks. Last Wednesday, the company shut down all of its systems after the first attack out of abundance of caution, according to their spokesperson, Lisa Finney, and then shut down more systems again following the second. So talk about a double whammy. They got hit twice. Finney also said, quote, we have begun the restoration process, unquote, which, again, A+, they had a backup plan, because one of the biggest cliche jokes in IT is, do you have backups? Rudimentary speaking, think of how you used to take your cell phone, connect it to your computer, and copy-paste your photos onto that. Rudimentary speaking, just that on a much larger scale, usually fancier software technologies, but overall the same concept of backing up your data. And most every business says they have backups. However, one of the best questions to ask, and free question if you're in IT sales, they say, oh yeah, we have backups. Perfect. Ask them, when were they tested? Because that's when sometimes the blood will rush out of their face when they realize, oh dear God, we have these backups, supposedly in theory, but we've never actually tested them. And then once they test them, sometimes the solution doesn't even work or it's not configured properly. So again, most enterprise companies do have backups. Do they actually do it properly is another question. But in this case, it looks like they did it properly, because even though they're compromised, again, basically think of the whole environment being poisoned, they basically wiped it out, took that back up, and plugged it back in and restored it. Very conceptually speaking. So thankfully, while this business, again, they're at a victimhood of a cyber attack, which again, you can put up as many barriers as you want in terms of technologies and combating it. With enough resource allocation, the bad guys will still get in. So usually I tell people the goal is to try to make it as prohibitive as possible, so it's not worth the bad guy's time. They'll just go somewhere else. That's kind of a common methodology in cybersecurity. And yeah, in this case, I'm not sure what they're doing in that regard for their tech, but interestingly enough, they had the backup, so that's good. Now, Finney also said an update over the weekend, knowing that the company had launched an investigation into their cyber incident with third-party experts and notified law enforcement. Quote, based on the information we have at this time, we anticipate that the process will take several days to complete. In the interim, we're continuing to actively engage with our customers and provide them with alternative ways to conduct business. Unquote. They also say in messages to his customers, the company also warned of, quote, bad actors posing as members or affiliates of CDK to try to obtain system access by contacting customers. He urged them to be cautious of any attempting phishing, which is not the fine kind that you and your dad do at the lake, where you actually have, physically phishing, but this is phishing, phishing, where rudimentarily speaking, you have email impersonations. Let's say, Bob in accounting. Well, you just say you're Bob1 at accounting, or you take the zero, take the BOB and change it to B0B. You're saying it close enough where at a cursory glance, no one will realize it. They can impersonate him, send the emails off saying, hey, we need to reroute this wire with, one of the biggest common ways that malicious actors will go after companies is, go after the payroll and have the wiring structures altered. Now, they say, quote, this incident bore all the hallmarks of a ransomware attack in which targets are asked to pay ransom to access encrypted files, but CDK declined to comment directly, neither confirming nor denying it. So, looks like how the dealership's reacting. They say several automotive major companies, including Stellantis, Ford, and BMW, confirmed the Associated Press last week that CDK outage had impacted some of their dealers, but that sales continue. Which, yeah, that's literally thousands and thousands of dealerships. And they say, oh yeah, well, we're actually just going to go back to a couple of dealerships are just using pen and paper. Which again, I kind of joke when I say, it's kind of hard to hack a typewriter, which, I mean, I mainly use mine for novelty reasons and, nostalgia because it's my grandpa's. But yeah, sometimes the age-old pen and paper can't be beat. And it reminds me, actually, when I bought the suit, it wasn't a cybersecurity instance, but it was a Men's Warehouse 10 years ago or so. They had an instance where their internet was out, and Copilot in the IT department, they didn't have a mobile hotspot or a backup. They didn't have a Cradle point or anything like that. They could still run business as usual. So they actually busted out the good old-fashioned credit card clickety-click, which I'm sure there's more of an advanced word for that actual process. Think of Home Alone when you had the credit card, you put it in a little plastic machine, and they physically clicked, they actually take the carbon copy. And I'm obviously dating myself, but that was cool and nostalgia at the time. It'll be interesting to see how much of their sales are lost after this. Now, granted, most enterprise sales are locked in with the traditional, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year license agreement. So it'll be interesting. And again, the way they word these contracts, I'm sure there's a carve out or a caveat that says even if it's an outage, you can't, break your contract early. But how many renewals are they going to be losing out on? And again, dealerships are already looking to cut costs because, again, interest rates are, what is it, almost 8% for cars these days. People are cutting back their spending. So it's already not great for the automotive industry in general. And again, that's a ripple effect that goes to the suppliers as well as this case being a software supplier. So unfortunately, I think it's going to have and again, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not saying you should or should not invest in the company. I just think it's going to have a significant downturn in their renewals when they do come up. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Hooters closing more stores. Somehow they are still in business. But the restaurant category industry of restaurants are usually growing, pun moderately intended. I mean, Hooters, they were definitely an industry leader. They were one of the first massively successful companies to take that concept and execute it on a large national scale, and I would argue even a global scale. However, there are a lot of other competitors these days, some even headquartered in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas. One of the best, or one of the largest ones, again, pun moderately intended, is Twin Peaks, headquartered out of, I think it's technically Dallas, Texas. I think it is right on the city limits. But nevertheless, Hooters has become more and more dated, especially as they've become more and more inclusive of the waitress staff. So a lot of people would say they're no longer traditionally beautiful, and they have been growing, but their sales have not. Let's just put it that way. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Taylor Hertzlock over at New York Post. They say, quote, Hooters abruptly shuts down underperforming stores as inflation hammers diners. Which, let's see here. Now, just put some eye candy while I actually read the article here. Posted, quote, like many restaurants under pressure from the current market conditions, Hooters had made the difficult decision to close selected locations, unquote. This is coming from a spokesperson or spokesman from the company. They know that roughly 40 of the 300 restaurants nationwide are closed, including those in Florida, Kentucky, Rhode Island, Texas, and Virginia, according to Restaurant News, Nation News. They say the number of Hooters locations has declined by 12% since 2018, according to the restaurant consulting firm Technomatic. Meanwhile, the competitors, case in point, Twin Peaks and Dave & Buster's have seen an increase since then. I mean, I don't know how much. No, Dave & Buster's also legally acquired Main Event, or was it the other way around? I forget. So it's one legal entity. But nevertheless, I wouldn't put them in the same category since I think those are mostly gaming companies because not gambling, but they have all the little animatronics, basically Chuck E. Cheese for adults. That's how I describe Dave & Buster's. And for better or worse, many would say worse, I don't think the staff is very busty. Although, I'm trying to think, I had a corporate event there like 8 or 9 years ago. It's been quite some time to say the least. Now, they continue to say, quote, the Hooters rep maintained that the brand of 41 years is still highly resilient and relevant. I don't know about that. They say, quote, we look forward to continuing to serve our guests at home and on the go in our restaurants here in the U.S. and across the globe, unquote. Which, really? I can't help but think it's so dated. Yeah. I mean, at least the girls in this picture are actually beautiful. Although, odd choice, they're wearing white sneakers. Now, granted, I'm no sneaker aficionado. I, truth be told, have the good old dad sneakers, the New Balance 990 series. I think I'm on a 70th pair. And granted, in terms of looking at these girls, I'm probably the only person on the planet who actually looked and to see if they were, in fact, wearing shoes. Obviously, that's not the point of the whole restaurant concept. But I think I went there 10 to 15 years ago for a beer just to say I did it once. And, like, all my friends and all the people I know who have gone there throughout the years, I mean, the most common comment I hear is that the food is declining more and more, which, again, I know that's not the major attraction of this. That's not the reason most people are going there. But you have competitors who have better looking women and you have better food. And again, the category of restaurants, I mean, that's been growing for decades. Pun obviously intended again. But I wonder what they'll do to actually try to reverse this trend, because this has been happening for quite some time at Hooters. It's in terms of the culture. I mean, again, they were industry first. I mean, they revolutionized. A lot of people would say they revolutionized the concept of like what a fun guy restaurant could be, and they were actually growing so much. They had their own airplane, and they had the idea of having Hooters Air, which again that was a business blunder because again that was not profitable. The idea was kind of cool to have beautiful stewardess, which again back when the aviation was first booming, all the stewardesses were beautiful women. And now, yeah, not so much. So it was interesting for them to kind of maybe go back to that original idea of what many people would say make the aviation industry such a fun experience. Men also, of course, suited up and had a decorum of class back in the day. And geez Louise, I think last time I flew on an airplane, so I was wearing sweatpants and flip flops with socks, which is ridiculous and obviously a fashion F minus. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, let me know in the comments. When was the last time you actually went to a Hooters, and what would they need to do to turn things around? I would really be fascinated to hear what you have to say. I've driven past them throughout the years. I just can't fathom. Again, it had to be 10, 15 years ago. It was just for the concept, just so I could say I did it once. And granted, I think all I had was a Michelob Ultra because that was, I mean, back when I actually drank beer. Granted, I never drank heavily because I'm a little bit of a health nut. Like that was kind of my cliche go-to at the time because it's healthier in comparison and low carbs. But yeah, let me know in the comments. When was the last time you actually went to Hooters? And with all the competition out there, would you go again anytime soon? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Problem podcast, you have CNN threatening to go after channels who repost and comment on the presidential debate, which, yeah, it's mentally vacuous to say the least. And in court, they will definitely lose that. Granted, I'm no lawyer, I own a suit. But this was first posted thanks to Tim Pool on X Twitter. And he says, quote, CNN is now threatening any social channels that provide commentary on the upcoming debate stage, stating that they will not allow use outside of CNN. Commentary on presidential debate is the epitome of fair use, and we fully intend to provide insight and real-time fact-checking Thursday live, which again is, what was it, at 8 p.m. Central tonight? Let's see here. They got 1.7 million views and 50,000 likes. I thought I might be the 51, the one extra one to get to 51,000. However, I was not at in this instance. Which, again, the debate should be, I don't know, I can't think it'll be moderately boring because again, they're going to have no. I mean, Trump said anytime, anywhere, and they took him off on his offer, stacking the decks so much in Biden's favor. They're going to have no audience, which again, Trump very much plays on an audience. He's very charismatic, especially working with them. It's like really, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't done stand-up comedy as a side gig. Just he would be exceedingly successful at it. But nevertheless, they're also going to mute the mics immediately after someone's time is done. Which again, if you look at historically in terms of who gets the most mic time, is it really equal? Fascinatingly enough, Republicans actually speak at a much higher speaking rate during the presidential debates, and yet they get less screen time. So Democrats are actually getting more screen time, more time to present their ideals, and yet Republicans are trying to make up for speaking fast, which I'm sure the audience does appreciate. Just tune into my show. That's about half the comments and the feedback I get, which again, I am actively working on. So I appreciate your patience. And again, taking the time to tune in as I try to increase my speaking aptitudes. And again, with fair use, as long as you provide commentary on it, I mean, that any court on the, I was going to say on the planet in the United States is going to automatically, side with you. You just have to give a little bit of commentary. I debate if I'm going to do it or not because there's so many larger channels who are going to be covering the live stream or the show, the actual debate. And the only way I think a judge would, this has been done with other media, not just debate, but the only reason you get your channel shut down or you get a strike on your channel is if you provide zero comment. So if you just took the debate and threw it on your channel and you did not say anything, you didn't alter it in any way, then a judge is going to, come down and you say, yeah, this is obviously not fair use. But in this case, Beanie Hat Tim or Tim Pool, whatever you want to call him, he's directly on point. Because again, Lord knows the CNN folks are not going to fact check Trump or Biden, and they're definitely not going to add commentary or talk about background of the actual question, the substance, and really critique their answers. And I suspect most people in the comments will be, agreeing with Tim Pool. But let's check them out. The first comment comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, CNN is so afraid of free speech, it's ridiculous. Getting 2.6 thousand likes. Gerald A., who's the CEO of Louder Crowder, says, and live stream we shall, getting 2.7 thousand likes. Ooh, 2.8. Granted, I did click it, but it actually went to 2.8 after I clicked it, so can't take too much credit for that. But nevertheless, the quartering also said, I will be live streaming my commentary on Rumble Video if everyone wants to watch. Which, yep, Rumble. Oh, I already said it, so I guess there's a theory. I don't know if there's any substance to this, but allegedly, if you say that word, your videos get channel banned on YouTube, which, it's certainly not the first time it's happened to one of my videos since, again, statistically speaking, I have about 3,000 subscribers, and I have some videos that get 0 to 1 views, which, again, I'm not saying the most popular person on the planet, but just statistically speaking, I would have thought they'd get at least 5 or 10. As a aging old Biden would say, come on, man. Nevertheless, you have the red-headed libertarian saying, the absolute desperation of state-sponsored media, thinking they have the power to undo centuries of common law and copyright a federal election LMFAO. Got 1,000 likes. Planet Memes 8+, they did respond in meme form. Usually it's about a 50-50 shot between them commenting just a sentence versus having a meme. Planet Memes has a vintage, 1950s garbage truck. It says, garbage truck in the 1950s. It says City of Chicago. And it says garbage truck today. And it's a broadcasting truck outside of the CNN office. Got 941 likes. Scrolling down here, which, again, that's the most hilarious thing about CNN. Their ratings crashed 40% after Biden won. I can't help but think, just fiscally, just the amount of money that CNN would make if Trump were to win, there's got to be some, again, I know CNN is mostly a leftist think tank. There's not a lot of diversity in terms of thought in that company, but I can't help but think the CFO is going to vote Trump, just go, come on. Again, they need the content. Going down, for the 18 people who still tuned in to CNN, if Trump wins, they might double their audience at CNN to maybe even 40 people, more than double. But again, not financial advice. I wouldn't invest in them anytime soon myself. Valentina Gomez says the propaganda machine cannot save Biden from making a fool out of himself. They got 2.9 thousand likes. Now, that being said, I'm not sure what kind of drugs are going to pump into Biden. Because again, he has his moments where he can speak pretty articulately. They're rare, but they're out there. And last debate, he looked energetic. I don't know what they had him on. Shoot, I might take some myself. But again, a wise man, whether it's business or sports balls or politics, never underestimate your opponent. So hopefully both sides are, well, I was going to say both sides are training appropriately. I'm not sure what they are moving on both sides, but Booker E says this is exactly what a state-controlled propaganda machine outlet does. No doubt about it. That got 2.3 thousand likes. Let's see. Are there any contrarian statements? Because again, there are some people who love CNN. Not 18 people, but still. Not really a lot of contrarian statements. A couple people saying the debate is a whole joke. Here. And it is fascinating. The one time I got a strike on my channel, or what was it? No, it wasn't a strike. A couple of times I got a segment of show demonetized on YouTube is when I actually talked about CNN faking a story. So it is kind of funny. That's the one time I've seen that big warning notification. I mean, the other ones are more traditional, like the music, where if you have a song playing more than like 4 or 5 seconds, then they'll have a split monetization policy, which I was gonna say, well, I'm not sure how long. It is a pain for a lot of creators to handle that, but at least that makes to me more sense. But let me know in the comments. Do you think CNN will really take people to court? They'll go after every single channel? I can't help but think they have the influence of the major tech companies. Because again, in terms of reposting this, realistically, where are people going to repost the debate? YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitter, maybe Facebook. In terms of where the media is going to be reposted, it's pretty easy to just focus on those 3 to 4. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Julian Assange being set free after all these years. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Don Licker over at X Twitter. And it looks like Assange is going to be returning to Australia. I guess, what I was going to say, I really know them just for the Holden cars and the Foster's beer, funny boomerangs, and kangaroos, of course. I think the top 3 subject matters when it comes to what is in Australia or what are they about. Now, Don Licker says, quote, breaking news, WikiLeaks founder and the man who led Hillary Clinton's emails being exposed, Julian Assange has reached a plea deal with the U.S. Department of Justice, allowing him to be released from prison. He's expected to return to Australia. Assange has been incarcerated in the Belmarsh prison since 2019 after spending 7 years in Ecuadorian embassy. He is coming back right on time for the election. And granted, his words are infinitely better than mine. And more important. So let's hear what he has to say.
One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it. If they had searched deep enough, if they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly and with open eyes go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks! Looks like Bernie got a little bit of a bad deal based on WikiLeaks, right?
They want to distract us from WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
All you have to do is take a look at WikiLeaks and just see what they said about Bernie Sanders.
Even Chelsea Clinton.
Yeah, never forget when the 2016 election was occurring, the people actually voted for Bernie Sanders to be the Democratic nominee. But the superdelegates and them overrode what the people wanted. That's why they got Hillary Clinton, which I was going to say she lost pretty epically. And I should say, I mean, she's totally honest. She's never had a disproportionate amount of people around her just commit, self-deletion. And I should say she's probably a very charming, charismatic, brilliant woman who's never been a criminal or committed international crimes or, anything like that. Should also clarify I want to live a long, prosperous life. Just throwing that out there. Just saying.
The WikiLeaks email show expressed serious concerns about conflicts of interest at the Clinton Foundation and the State Department.
I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my.
And yeah, that got 2.1 million views, 25,000 likes. One of the first responses coming from Clown World simply saying fire emoji, getting 433 likes. Paul Zupa said, good for Assange. He helped save us from Hillary Clinton. He deserves a statue. It got 901 likes. Here. I don't know what pop culture reference this is, but Merch says, yes, a deal that he wouldn't testify in a treason trial against her in the future. And it looks like some I don't know what movie this is, but he has a kid holding an old-fashioned phone. It says, so instead of arresting Hillary on corrupt charges for the content on her emails, the government wants to arrest Julian Assange for releasing the emails that exposed Hillary's corruption. Got 1.1 thousand likes. One bad dude says he knows everything. It says, when all is exposed, 98% of Washington will fail. I guess that's a quote from Julian Assange. Got 1.2 thousand likes. Going down more and more. Let's see here. What? Who, what, werewolf? That's a fascinating name. Says, anyone wonder why, after all this time, the court just cut a deal with Julian Assange this week? I don't know who created this little little goose meme, but the goose says, why did you just release Julian Assange just 3 days before the Trump-Biden debate? And they have someone running away as a psyop and says, why now? Got 335 likes. Jerry says he knows where all the skeletons are buried. Julian isn't suicidal. Getting 488 likes. Bruce Ballou says, be careful, Julian. The U.S. is corrupt. The CIA is more evil. Getting 598 likes. Which, just because you're not going to be prosecuted in the courts and you're being allowed to leave a little prison room, let's just say, I don't think if he applies for life insurance, I don't think a policy will be issued to him. There might just be a high propensity of, at not being a profitable thing for the insurance company. So he's been set free. There's a couple, let me see. I want to say it's also reposted by, here. WikiLeaks also posted on their direct profile. They said Julian Assange is free. Julian Assange is free. He left Bill Marsh maximum security prison on morning June 24th after spending 1,901 days there. He was granted bail by the High Court in London and released by Stansted Airport during the afternoon, where he boarded a plane and departed to the UK. The result of the global campaign that spanned grassroots organizers, press-fed freedom campaigners, legislators, and leaders from across the political spectrum, all the way to the United States. This created a space for a long period of negotiations with the U.S. Department of Justice, leading to a deal that has not yet been formally finalized. We will provide more information as possible. After more than 5 years in a 2x3 meter cell, isolated 23 hours a day, he will soon be reunited with his wife, Stella Assange, and their children, who have only known their father from behind bars. WikiLeaks published a groundbreaking stories on government corruption and human rights abuse, holding the powerful accountable for their actions. As editor-in-chief, Julian paid severely for these principles and the people's right to know. As he returns to Australia, we all thank who stood by us, fought for us, and remained utterly committed in the fight for his freedom. Julian Assange is our freedom. I got 14.8 million views. One of the first responses coming from Tara Bull said Julian Assange is free, getting 7.5 thousand likes. Dr. Simon Goddick said finally, and it has a picture of Julian. It says truth, getting 11,000 likes. Al Hukum says why they really imprisoned Assange. And Assange says if wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth. Got 8.2 thousand likes. Al Hukum also has a meme or a picture compilation of Obama, or some might call it Obama, then Clinton, Bush, and it says, so it says Obama, Clinton, Bush, and they're all free. You have Assange in jail, Hale in jail, Snowden in exile, and picture George Collins saying, you know something is wrong when the criminals are free and the people who expose their crimes are in jail or have to flee. Got 3.8 thousand likes. Let's see. Is there any contrarian statements? Ileana Dowding says Julian did nothing wrong, getting 238 likes. Efrat Ben Geisen says amazing news, getting 53 likes. So a lot of overwhelming support online for Julian Assange. And yeah, he exposed a lot of stuff. Yeah, once that truth was exposed, it was fascinating to see pretty much every government and just go all out against him. And again, I wish him the best. I hope he lives a long, prosperous life. I can't help but wonder, what are the odds he gets that opportunity? But let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have CNN cutting off a person on air who was sticking up for Trump and talking about the upcoming debate moderator's large bias. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to Charlie Kirk over on X Twitter, in which he says, quote, everyone knows Jake Tapper hates Donald Trump. Joe Biden knows that Jake Tapper hates Donald Trump. Jake Tapper knows he hates Donald Trump, but CNN won't let you say that on the air. If CNN is this deranged now, just wait for the Trump-hating Jake Tapper during the debate. Fake news. Although, let's be honest, every time we hear or see the words fake news or China, I can't help but think he says, Fake news. Absolutely fake. The fakest of the news. But granted, that might be the worst Trump impression you hear all year, but you did hear it. Now, this got 1 million views and 32,000 likes. Let's see. This is, well, obviously not too surprising, but only about 30 seconds. We'll see what they have to say.
Well, first of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently,
we're going to stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking my
Trump
colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you
I'm
continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at.
The CNN gal, as wise as she is beautiful. That's funny because, well, I certainly don't think she is, but some might. And it got 1 million views and 32,000 likes, which, yeah, I can't but think this will mirror the debate tonight where you just cut, well, they are going to literally cut the mic off. I wonder how much they'll mute Trump so you can't hear his responses. Well, that'll be really interesting. One of the first responses comes from Rita Love saying, the fact that the cable news is still standing considering the current state of the internet is honestly baffling, getting 407 likes. Planet of Memes, F minus, they did not respond in meme form, just text, but they said, quote, this is most likely a preview to how Jake Tapper will conduct himself on Thursday, getting 59 likes. I Love American News says 100% true, and this picture of Trump and Melania says life was better when they were in the White House, getting 128 likes. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. He's straight from the donkey's mouth. Jake Tapper. Livercat Media TM says correct. He was comparing Trump to Hitler. That is what Casey was trying to hide. At least he's suited up, but here's a little Jake.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States. This time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
Let's recognize this comment for what it is, a long-standing anti-Semitic trope that the true
Is that an anteater? She looks so familiar.
allegiance for Jews is to their religion rather than their country. It was used in Nazi Germany to justify the arrests, persecutions, and mass killings, attempted extermination of the Jewish people. And Trump has been pushing this trope for years.
Yep, that's why his family members are Jewish.
He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany.
Got 140 likes for that. Lyle Holt says the real question is, why did Donald Trump accept these terms again, getting 957 likes? Well, that was the downside of Trump saying, name your time. He literally said anytime, anywhere, So he kind of threw that ball in the Biden campaign's court. I'm not sure if that was I don't think that was a good strategy in terms of having, giving them all the power to, set all the terms, because obviously these terms are very much advantageous to Biden. But yeah, not too surprised. Philip Anderson simply says F Joe Biden, F Jake Tapper, and F CNN. F all those communist cheaters. Trump 2024 got 310 likes. Tom McGuire says CNN is allergic to facts, getting 208 likes. A lot of people calling her a disgrace to journalism. Here's a funny picture of a mother and a daughter. She says, if you don't stop lying, you'll grow up to be a reporter for CNN. Getting 71 likes. Here. I like contrarian statements. I mean, Lord knows CNN could use the ratings. They've been going downhill for years. Truth be told, ever since Trump lost the election, was it 40% less views at CNN? I mean, they had a rudimentary app for CNN Plus that failed nearly immediately. I think they spent $48,000 per customer in terms of acquisition costs, and that is terrible. And they obviously lost so much money they closed it down. So yeah, can't help but think, yeah, it'll be an interesting debate. How useful will it be? How much will we really learn from it? And will CNN ever actually recover from the credibility loss? And the new CEO of the parent company came in. They said they're going to fix CNN, kind of like how Bob Iger said he's going to fix Disney. But yeah, I can't but think, is the patient too far gone? Let me know. Do you know anyone who still actually watches CNN like genuinely? Or do you know anyone who actually supports them? And do you know anyone who actually pays for CNN? I've never met anyone in real life who does. But let me know in the comments. It'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have the Supreme Court granting a block of Biden's student loan repayment program, aka using your tax dollars to pay off someone else's loan because of their ineptitudes. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Attorney General Andrew Bailey over at X Twitter. He says, quote, breaking, the court has granted our motion to block Joe Biden's illegal student loan plan. Congress never gave Biden the authority to saddle working Americans with $500 billion in other people's debt. A huge win for the Constitution, unquote, getting 2.5 million views and 72,000 likes, which, yes, please, and for everyone who says, the government should do this, point to it to me in the Constitution where it says they have an obligation to pay off your debt and your responsibility. Why should other taxpayers have that pushed onto them when they did not take those loans out themselves? And the most people who have issues repaying these loans are getting degrees in underwater lesbian basket weaving or gender studies or some other useless major that doesn't provide an ROI. And some people, the industry is just not as good as it used to be, and they're slowly paying it off, but again, they are paying it off. Now, some of the top comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, huge, time for students to take accountability on their loans, getting 2.2 thousand likes. We do have a contrarian statement, Mr. Human, or alleged human. He also has the peace flag, the Ukrainian flag, and the American flag, and then the blue flag. He's very much a leftist, but life gets a little bit boring when you're in echo chamber, so I follow him actually specifically, learn a little bit what he has to say. Now he says, aren't you proud? Republicans gave over $1.7 trillion to the ultra-rich. Let that sink in. I find that hard to believe considering, wait a minute, that's a 5-minute video? Never. Not going to give us more bullet points? Yeah, the top 1% already pay the vast majority of the federal income tax every year. So I would argue they actually pay more than their fair share, considering the top 1% pays the majority of the federal income taxes. The bottom 1% only takes. Now, that got 222 likes, though. So again, wonder if it got ratioed. Maybe not. He also says, most technologically advanced nations offer free college, all caps. Do you know why? Because it's investment. For every $1 they put in, you get $7 back in taxes paid by future professionals. Yeah, I don't know about that. How many of them are getting an ROI for gender studies? Like a legitimate ROI for that? Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see here. Any other contrarian statements? Val Madison said letting people keep their own property isn't giving away your money. What? They're paying off these. It literally is taking away money from you, if I'm understanding that correctly. Because again, these companies are getting paid back for those loans that the people took out. So it's just a matter of where is that money coming from? It's coming from, taxpayers. Let's see here. Going back to the main thread. Paul Zupa saying, well done, AG Bailey. Yet another one of Joe Biden's attempt to defy the Supreme Court and cheat the November election gets blocked, getting 946 likes. And yeah, that's actually a pretty big incentive to vote for someone they're going to pay away all your debts. A lot of people call that a bribe or a huge conflict of interest. Planet Memes, they're now, well, they have another one. They'll be 1 for 4 today in terms of responding in meme form. Nevertheless, I'll read what they have to say. Blend of Memes says, if Biden ignored the Supreme Court, what is stopping him from ignoring this too? Got 750 likes. Also says a massive win, getting 63 likes. General TM says, you usually have to sign a contract when taking out a loan. If my name isn't on the contract, then why should I be responsible for their actions? Getting 2.4 thousand likes. Thomas Massey, I'm already following him. And now says, this is the correct take. I'd go a little further and say that he saddled retirees and those on disability because the net result of a student loan forgiveness scam would have been additional inflation to everyone. Getting 1.6 thousand likes. See here. Billy D says, if Joe gave away money illegally, he in essence stole it and is personally responsible to pay it back, then face trial for grand larceny. Getting 162 likes. If you're a Republican, that would probably be charged upon him. Bearded Vet says, I'm not paying for continued woke education, period, getting 310 likes. See here. Little Star Wars meme or Star Trek. One of the old guys is all wrinkly, does his bolts out of his hands. Coming from Who What Where Wolf says, Biden bribes, allowing illegal aliens into the country and registering them to vote while giving them money, hotel rooms, and illegally paying off student loans. Crooked Joe should be in jail. And again, I'm not sure, is that Palpatine? Kidding, I know it's Palpatine. So it's the Palpatine, I'm pretty sure the old guy wrinkles. He's shooting lasers and says Joe Biden has unlimited dictatorship powers. It looks like someone bolts lasered back at him, so he's all weak now. It says Justice Department, the Biden is an elderly man with diminished capacities, unfit for trial. It says, I'm too weak. Then it says, this week, and it says Biden this week, it says, unlimited dictatorship powers, getting 138 likes. Yeah, it's amazing how many people forgot. Again, Joe Biden, Trump, was it Joe Biden, Trump, Obama, and what was the other? Mike Pence. They all had these documents that were they're classified documents, improperly stored, and yet only Trump was actually prosecuted when someone actually tried to prosecute Biden or bring him to court. The DOJ said, oh yeah, we're not going to charge him because he's his diminished capacity is not fit for trial. So that's why Biden did not get charged and actually taken to court for the whole classified documents improper storage, while his opponents were. Case says, what about all the debt they already forgave? Does that get reinstated? Getting 523 likes. Because again, that happened earlier. Covered that where someone paid off they got ratioed so bad on Twitter they deleted the whole thing. But yeah, let's see here. Debbie says, ooh, found a contrarian statement. Finally, Debbie says Republicans don't mind debt forgiveness when it's their debt. Trump declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy 6 times. MTG was happy to get her $180K PPP loan forgiven. But when middle class and poor Americans need help paying for education, suddenly the debt relief is out of the question. That got 668 likes. Again, I'm not sure she's mentally vacuous, but well, she does say Trump belongs in prison, no DMs. Go Dogs? The hell does that mean? That sports balls team? Maybe. But yeah, where do you think that money's going to come from? Yeah, mostly the middle class. Bankruptcy, they actually reduce the debt. They don't pay it off. Or as in most cases. PPE loans, yeah, that was a whole boondoggle, but the government also shut down the businesses as well. Let's see here. Sergeant Valdez says, thank you. Oh, thank you, sir. Finally, someone looking out for the American taxpayer, getting 141 likes. Ultra Mega Wordsmith says, how many times does Dictator Joe need to be told he doesn't have the authority under the Constitution? Getting 353 likes. Is there any more here? Was this a comic about white privilege? Emergent Perspective says, the plan, it's a hardworking American with holding a paycheck. There's a guy, it gets smaller if you click on it, disappointing. There's a guy in a wheelchair that says, thanks, the government is going to take a cut. And then the guy in the wheelchair, it's obviously Biden, and he gives it to, obviously a leftist girl with neon pink and blue hair, short, obviously. It says, here you go, here your gender study degree on us. Don't forget to vote blue. A hardworking American says, isn't that my money? And she goes, you need to check your white privilege. That was historically accurate. Got 61 likes. So yeah, I think this actually might backfire on Biden, because again, there are millions of Americans who do have student loan debt and they have not paid it off. And if you're saying, hey, here's some free money, we're going to pay it off for you, that very well might get some more votes. But if you ask the whole nation, a vast majority of Americans, I think you're actually going to lose points in the polls. Because again, in terms of percentages, a majority of people do not have these debts and are going to be paying off the people who do have the debts. So I think overall it's not going to be a prudent move on the political chessboard. But let me know in the comments, do you think this will be overall, it'll help Biden in the polls? Again, it's got shot down again, but he can still use this as a campaign tool and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do for you, that kind of thing. And some people, again, one people did point out, people have gotten them, quote, quote, forgiven, aka paid off by us. I mean, what happens to theirs? Do they have to now pay it back? And then, what about that money? Let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have an Oakland mayor blaming right-wingers for an FBI raid after she committed crimes. Remember, in Oakland, California. Yeah, spoiler alert, there's not a lot of right-wing folks there. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to Lives of TikTok on X Twitter. She says, quote, Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao, who had her home raided by the FBI last week, claims that she's doing nothing wrong and blames, quote, radical right-wing forces. Let's see what she has to say.
Well, guess what? I'm not going down like that. We're not going down like that.
Oh.
The people who voted for me deserve to have their voices heard and communities prioritized. I'm seeking the truth right now, just as much as you all are. But I will not be bullied, and I will not be disparaged, and I will not be threatened out of this office. There are a lot of radical right-wing forces who know they will never win an election in Oakland fair and square. They know their extreme views are at odds with our Oakland values, but they have built the rules to protect and preserve their power and maintain dominance over the rest of us.
They built the rules? Oakland, California? I don't think they've voted Republican since Reagan. It's been decades of leadership by leftists and Democrats. What on earth? I was about to say, what is she smoking? It's California. Probably copious amounts of many things, none are recommended. But, oh yeah, it's Republicans' fault, you see? Is this the Jesse Smollett 2.0? Is she going to start talking about a Subway sandwich or something like that? What Pretty Valley got 714,000 views and 9.8 thousand likes. Yeah. See the top comments here. Tommy Lawrence says, radical right-wing forces in Oakland. Is she sure? Getting 4.5 thousand likes. Oh, here we go. Wow. There's a nice little infographic of all the crime in Oakland compared to this all in total of California. Paul Zupa says, quote, if Mayor Xing Thao was this passionate about violent crime being confronted in Oakland, then maybe her city wouldn't have violent crime that's 3 times higher than the rest of the U.S. Wow. And there's a little chart that says violent crime comparison per 1,000 residents. Oakland is 15.28. In California, it's actually 4.99. The national median is 4. Got 375 likes. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, when all else fails, blame radical right-wingers. Getting 635 likes. Planet of Memes, again, no meme. So what is this now? 1 for 5? Nevertheless, Planet of Memes says, not meme, quote, I'm surprised she didn't blame racism or climate change. Got 97 likes, which, yeah, those are kind of the cliche go-tos as well. JDO says the crimes she let run rampant is the cause for her departure, not take radical right-wing forces. These people never take accountability. Getting 510 likes. Patriot Gal 480 says, gotta love the left. They are always playing the victim card and blaming others for who they are and what they have done. Getting 322 likes, which, I mean, in terms of moves on the political chessboard, it's worked before. Mostly mentally vacuous. I don't agree with it, obviously, but I mean, a lot of them get reelected on that methodology or that strategy alone. You have Sassafras 84 saying 40,000 people want to recall her. I would say it's her policy running her city into the ground. They always blame right wing for their bad decisions. Getting 413 likes. I mean, again, this is Oakland. I cannot. I was about to say I can't believe it, but obviously I can. I mean, this is kind of a copy paste for a lot of politicians. General TM says Oakland, California is a crap hole. That's why the mayor is being investigated. Getting 229 likes. Sergeant Valdez says she missed her 10% payments to the big guy. The FBI was there to collect. Getting 108 likes. Enhances says so the FBI is now radical right wing. Getting 265 likes. Arlen says the FBI is run by the left still, getting 481 likes. AKA says you literally live in Oakland. LOL, half the homes have probably been raided. Getting 357 likes. Trump.ai says lock the commie up, getting 106 likes. Gizmo says LOL, like the right has any control in California, getting 445 likes, which, yes, precisely. Granted, in terms of counties in the more rural areas of California, like many states, there are a lot of people who are Republican and right-wing in that regard, but in terms of the major cities, yeah, and Oakland, this is, yeah, almost incomprehensible how mentally vacuous her statements are. Let's see here. Lord Brian Urzo, lead guitarist of Gideon's, says, right-wing radical, LO in California, really? He tagged her, Mayor Xing Thao, tell me more. And this little picture of Sean Connery, or is it SNL impersonation of Sean Connery. And yes, it'll probably be a terrible impression, but nevertheless, I shall attempt. I'll say shit that has never happened for 500, Alex Trebek. That was terrible, but got 78 likes. Not me personally, but that little clip, or rather that little meme of Sean Connery, or the person impersonating him. Going down more and more. Jojo Wiki says, so it sounds like she's confused about who's running the show. Hint, it's not the right, getting 67 likes. David B says, what right wing? The Oakland right wingers, all 3 of them, getting 89 likes. Let's see here. Are there any contrarian statements here? A lot of people, the GIF of someone just laughing when it says right-wingers in California. Getting 18 to 20 to 30 likes. So, as ESPN gents would say if they were to evaluate her, the real of her, I say, it's a bold move, Cotton. But I don't think it's going to pan out for her. But an interesting move on the political chessboard. I mean, not too surprising. And it'll be interesting to see what her political future is, or rather, to be frank, what it might not be or isn't. Let me know in the comments, are you surprised that she tried to use that political move on the chessboard or that strategy? As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Snapchill coffee being recalled for potential food poisoning, which, yep, that's not great. Again, now this is from Daniel Janice over at Fox Business, which is, oddly enough, somehow still in business. I actually reference them more and more. I can't but think I would count for maybe about 18% of their total web traffic these days. I'm only partially adjusting. Now, again, they say, quote, canned recall or coffee is being recalled over deadly toxin fears. Recalled Snapchill products were distributed nationwide, unfortunately. Well, they didn't say that, but I did because I don't think it's great. Now, they say that the Wisconsin-based coffee manufacturer is recalling products shipped nationwide after federal officials warned that the product process could result in a deadly toxin. It was a little boring picture of the FDA on the X Twitter. Actually just did a big picture that just says recall. But nevertheless, they say, quote, earlier this month, Snapchill LLC voluntarily recalled all of its canned coffee products with the expiration date, quote, because their current process could lead to the growth and production of botulinum toxin in low-acid canned foods, according to the warning notice posted by the FDA. Products were distributed nationwide through various roasters and retailers, according to the notice recall. It was also distributed through Snapchill's website. They say that, quote, the recall was initiated after the FDA notified Snapchill that the low-acid canned foods process for the manufacturing the products was not filed with the FDA, which required regulation. Now they note that botulism is a potentially fatal form of food poisoning, according to the FDA notice. Affecting individuals may experience symptoms including general weakness, dizziness, double vision, and trouble speaking or swallowing. Maybe that's what our politicians should be drinking. Apparently, partially just. Say, quote, they may also have difficulty breathing, experience weakness in other muscles, abdominal distension, which is swelling of the belly area, and constipation. Looks like the symptoms can range up from 6 hours to 2 weeks after eating the contaminated toxin. There's a little picture of the actual product over here, which, it's a unique looking. Oh, on the website didn't bounce around. Oh, geez, Louise Fox, really? You. That's the most rudimentary soundtrack all time as well. Even though I muted it, it still unmuted itself because it wanted us to hear that little xylophone playing. Nevertheless, there's a little picture of the this one looks like to be called the Little Wolf Snapchill Coffee. Looks like interesting in terms of the labeling. It's a plain metal can with a wrapper around the middle. You actually see the bare aluminum, or as the foreigner, the Brits might say, aluminium, which actually does sound a little bit fancier than how we might say it over here. Though obviously they're wrong, of course. They note that the products are sold under a range of roaster brands and names, coming in a variety of metal cans, sizing from 7 ounces to 12 ounces. They note that the products can be identified by the produced and distributed by Snapchill LLC written underneath the nutrition facts panel, which that's not great because, again, it sounds like they're a kind of a white label manufacturer. So you can have many brands on the can, but unless you look at the little fine print that says, it actually says produced and distributed by Snapchill LLC, you might not know it. So it'll be interesting to see. And actually, in terms of business blunder, I don't think it hurt their sales too much from a consumer perspective because a lot of people don't know the actual specific brand name because it sounds like they're more of a white label or an OEM type of business. But nevertheless, those coffee shops that carry them and the brands that they manufacture for, they may very well reevaluate their relationship with the company, so it might hurt the sales a little bit. Now, in terms of the silver lining, thankfully no one's been hurt from this and no one's been detrimentally sick, so a little bit ahead of it, so to say. But not great news to the coffee company, and they are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your co-workers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.